I'm back. Yeah, so I don't vote, and there's a reason why I don't vote, because I think this country is crooked. It's simple as that. This is a crooked ass country. I mean, let me hold on for a second. I just think this country is crooked. I mean, what's the point of voting? I mean, look how they rigged the election in 2000. Come on now. And I just don't think that the American citizen votes really matter, because the fat cat bureaucrats are gonna put whoever they want in the White House. And I don't think our votes matter. Just like I said, the 2000 election, how they rigged that. I mean, me and my dad, we talked about that all the time. It was America was like somewhat oblivious to it. And we used to talk about that, like, for the fact that all the Florida votes came up missing. George Bush's brother was the governor of Florida. Then they took it to Supreme Court, saying, and half of the members on the Supreme Court was appointed by George Herbert Walker Bush. George W. Daddy. So, you think about that, you'd be like, okay, so they just totally rigged their election. And then ever since then, this country has been in shambles. And, my daddy always talked about that, so I miss stuff like that, and, just the little things, and, I just remember him he just being proud of me, of all his kids. And he wanted nothing but the best for us, and, I remember, back in 1999, he was getting real sick. Like, he was starting to swell up, and he swelled up so bad, and I was getting worried. And he went to the doctor, and they told him that he was in congestive heart failure, and if he had waited, that he would have died. And they drained all the fluid off him, and my daddy dropped like so much weight you could hardly recognize him, but he was still healthy. And later found out he was a type 2 diabetic, just like I am. That's where I inherited from. And but he was taking his medicine and doing everything was fine. My daddy smoked. He'd been smoking way before I was born. And he just went downhill. I noticed last year he had started spitting a lot, and when he was spit, I'd be like, I just noticed, I'm like, okay, why? My daddy's spitting an awful lot. I mean, I know some people spit, but his spit was just too much. And then he started having a problem with his legs and his feet, and they would swell and stuff like that. And then spring of last year, his mother passed away, my grandmother, Eddie Mae. And it seems like ever since she had passed, it's like his health had just kind of went downhill, And so yeah, it was just like, wow. So then I noticed that his spit, it started to have an odor to it, and like a really bad funky odor. And I remember I was telling my mom about it, but I would ask my dad, I said, Dad, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. That was my dad. He always said he was fine, even things weren't. And we didn't know it at the time, but as he was saying he was fine, my daddy had throat cancer. And he finally broke down and admitted to us that he was sick and he needed help. And my oldest brother took him to the doctor, and my mom was with him. And when they took x-rays and all the stuff like that, the one man doctor, he said, I'm just going off the bat here. He said, but we have to have tests to conclude. He's like, but it looks like throat cancer. And he said, when he looked down my dad's throat, it was all just red and just bumpy and just, yeah, you know. And plus, he had started had like this big, like, it was like a big old knot, like a tumor, like right here on the side of his neck, and it started growing. And so, he was supposed to schedule to meet up, do this test, but I never get. It was like a bad storm that hit St. Louis, and my sister even flew in, everything, but it was a bad storm that hit St. Louis, and so the test was rescheduled because people couldn't get it to work. I mean, it was a snowstorm and it was bad. So then one day he was just like hurting, and he said, I just want to go to the hospital. I said, okay, Daddy, I'll take you to the hospital. By then, his health had just really went down. I mean, it got to the point he had took a sick leave from work, and at first he was going to the store and getting groceries, but then he would honk his horn, I would come out and I'd carry him in. But then after that, it was to the point where he couldn't drive no more. His legs were just hurting him that bad. And when he would walk up the steps, I had to help him up the steps. Then after that, I started going to the store for him because he couldn't do it for himself. And, so the time he said he wanted to go to the hospital, I took him to the hospital, and they said he had blood clots. And they put him on Levodox, but at the time we couldn't get him filled nowhere, and his medical insurance was just fucking up. And we finally, then he went to the hospital again, and he was supposed to stay there so they could get some nourishment in him because he kept losing weight. And but what happened was, before then, a doctor ordered a lung biopsy, and a lung biopsy, they had to cut him open, and when they cut him open, the lung cancer, the throat cancer had spread. And by the time he got to the hospital again, we got the Levodox. They had to ship it from a company, and they shipped it overnight. And he had to get like 70 milligrams of it through a needle in his stomach, and I distributed to him. And they said if it ever was too much, to stop and come in. And I remember if he was spitting up blood, and I remember he started spitting up blood, and I panicked and I stopped, and I took him to the doctor, and they said, well, everything was fine and to resume. So by this time,